Hey everybody, thank you for taking the time to watch this video with us from Right Way Outreach Ministries. Got my shirt on underneath my other shirt, got my wristbands on, Tony's got his hat on. But first off, I want to say thank you for every single one of you who came out to our event this past week at Looney's, and to everyone who made a donation or participated in the 50-50 drawing. Or really even just make any kind of donation, because there were several people that did make donations. We greatly appreciate that. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I wanted to let everyone know that we did actually raise, between our sponsors and everyone who donated, we raised about $7,500 just about at the event last week, which is awesome. And I'm going to get into kind of what our goals are as an organization. But before I do that, Tony Insley was actually at our event last week, and some of you got to meet him, and some of you didn't get to meet him. But I think everyone saw the artwork that was kind of displayed on the walkway walking in. Well, Tony is a very talented artist. I am going to put his information in the description on this video on YouTube, and also on the Facebook post that I put out there too. But he's got his little business cards made up here, so you can see his website, his cell phone, his email, and then he's got his name right here, Tony Insley. His website is theartoftonyinslee.com, but we're going to have a link for that. So anyway, I want to kind of introduce you to him, because I want to let you know what we do at Right Way Outreach Ministries and how we actually impact people in the community, and what we actually do. Like, what do donations go towards? And then we're going to talk about our big goals. So let me kind of turn it over to Tony, kind of let you know how he met us and hooked up with us and started working with us. So why don't you tell us, Tony, how did we wind up meeting you, if you remember that? It was a couple months ago.
Of course. So last year, 2025, right around in February, I became homeless. I was evicted from the place that I was staying due to some income issues, and I ended up living in my truck. And I have a 12-year-old dog, and he was in the truck with me. So we were homeless for a couple months, and sleeping in the truck and just trying to find parking lots that we could sleep at. And sometimes we'd get ran out, and other times we'd actually find a nice, safe place to stay. I had no income coming in besides the fact that I'm an artist. And being an artist, what I would do is, I had some canvases and I had some paint, and I would sit under like street lights and have the canvas sitting on top of the hood of my truck, and I would paint. And I found it in my heart to kind of go to this particular parking lot in Perry Hall, which has the Audis and Looney's and the Goodwill and so on, and sell my paintings as a means to provide for myself and for Chippy, my dog. So I was actually pretty successful in doing that, in the way that it provided me and Chippy with food and fuel and
basic stuff.
Yeah.
But you still didn't have a house. You still couldn't just go to the bathroom when you want. You still couldn't take a shower. You still couldn't do your laundry. You couldn't do some of the basic things that a lot of people will take for granted that have that available to them today. And you really didn't know where to go, and how can you possibly get a job when you can't even take a shower, right? So that's kind of where you were, right? So then Edgardo, my intern, right, came up, and he was checking out your paintings, and he had on a Right Way Outreach Ministries shirt, and you guys started talking, and you were like, what is Right Way Outreach Ministries? And
Exactly.
Edgardo kind of told you about what we do, and then you wound up calling me. Well, you couldn't call me at first, right? Because you didn't have any minutes on your phone, so
Correct.
you had to wait till you could buy some minutes, and
Yeah.
then you called me up, and then we brought you out and sat down with you and talked to you about a place that we might be able to get you in at, and had a couple little hurdles because you had Chippy, your dog, and dogs weren't really allowed there, but I was able to kind of sweet talk my buddy James into letting you have your dog come and stay at the house with you. And then what we did as an organization is Right Way Outreach Ministries. We actually funded the first month's rent for Tony to go live in this recovery house, which is approximately $750 a month is what the bill was that he had to pay. So we paid that, through donations and sponsors. Our first sponsors that we did was through T-shirt. We had about 12 or 13 sponsors on our T-shirts that we did, these T-shirts. So we had some money coming from that. And then we had an event this past November, a wine event that we raised some money at, and then we really raised some good money at our last happy hour this last weekend because we partnered with a local elite agent mastermind group and had a bunch of real estate agents and their clients come out, and they really did turn out, and the sponsors turned out, and everybody donated just so much money. It was so great to see. But also, not only did Right Way, help Tony get into the house with James, who actually lives there with a couple other guys. They basically have rooms that they share. So $750 gets Tony a room to share with somebody, and then he has his dog. But he has access to laundry facilities at the house, and it's a house in Hamilton, right in the city. So he's access to laundry, he's access to the bathroom, can take a shower when he wants. Yeah. So the next big thing we needed to do for Tony was he needed to get a job because we can't pay $750 a month every month for Tony. He's got to work. So and payments were like kind of not cutting it because we didn't have a website and everything yet. Right. So we were like, all right, what are we going to do? And we started talking. Right Way started talking to Tony about what type of skills he has, and it turns out he's worked in some seafood departments and grocery stores, and he's also has significant cooking experience. Well,
different restaurants.
Yeah, different restaurants. So so I knew the owner of Red Brick Station, Bill Blocker, and what we did was, I know you like Bill, So Bill gave Tony a shot to come and work at Red Brick Station as a cook, and he's been there ever since. How many months has it been now?
6 months.
6 months. He's been there 6 months. So he's really doing good. Bill loves him there. I talked to him, and so now kind of where we're at is now that Tony and I have kind of had this relationship, we kind of came up with this idea together that he kind of approached me and we were talking. And he wants to kind of get back the right way because we helped him out.
Absolutely.
So what we were talking about is, if we could possibly find our own house somehow, right? Whether it be a little single family or a row house or whatever, something for like, $150,000, $200,000 that we could fit a couple guys in. Tony would actually volunteer to live in the house and run the house as a house manager, and we would allow him to stay there for free. So he'd be able to save that $750 a month just by running his house for us. And then what we would do is we would find some other people like Tony who are kind of living in their car or just fell on hard times and they need a restart, they need a refresh, whether that be somebody who's homeless, whether that be somebody who's coming out of like drug treatment rehab facilities, or that comes out and the family doesn't want them there, so they don't have any place to stay, or somebody maybe coming out of incarceration. We'd be open to helping them too because they're in the same boat.
And to help them in the same way that you helped me.
Exactly. But what we want to do is we want to kind of take that $750 fee and make it a lot less, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot less. Like we don't want to make any money on this. That's not the idea. The house will be bought in the organization's name as a nonprofit organization. And then with the hopes of maybe getting another house possibly for women in the future, but because they're a little harder to work with in terms of laws and things, with having so many unrelated women living in houses together. There's some laws on the books about that. So anyway, we really want to get this house, and the only way we're going to be able to do that is through raising money. So I've talked to Tony. I said, look, man, we got to come up with some events. We got to come up with some ideas. We got to come up with some things to try to, get people to have a good time. Everybody likes to have parties and stuff, so we're going to have some parties. We're going to have a good time, and we're going to partner with different organizations to kind of let us kind of tag along and be one of the organizations that they benefit from. So, if anybody's looking for an organization to help, this is what we're trying to do. This is helping local people right here in your own community.
Just like me.
Right. This is right here in Perry Hall, Maryland, right here in Baltimore County. This is exactly what we're trying to do, is help these people, give them a fresh start. And eventually, my goal is to turn Tony into a homeowner. So he's going to be able to save enough money, and then he's going to be able to get his credit fixed. He's going to be able to get a little better car because his pickup truck's looking pretty beat up out there. So he might need a new car soon. But so once he can kind of get into some and get a little bit of money saved, we got grant programs out there. I'm a real estate agent, so like my job is to help put people in homes. So I know about grant programs I can get that he would qualify for. And then he can then help the people coming into the house. He can help them qualify for like food stamps, right, and food cards and medical assistance and kind of get them on their feet. And then since we're not going to charge them $750 a month, we're only charging like $75 a week or something like that. It's kind of what the goal is, depending on how many people in the house we can get. Then they're going to learn. They're going to learn some responsibility on how to take care of a house, how to clean, how to cut grass, how to do landscaping, how to paint, how to fix stuff, right? So, they're all going to kind of learn that. And then at the same time, the goal is to get them to be able to save some money, fix their credit, and then turn them into homeowners too. So, this is kind of the whole goal of what we're doing with this program, and what we want to accomplish with this program. Yeah. So,
and everybody loves the comeback story.
Yeah, everybody loves that, right?
I was down and out, homeless, not knowing where my next meal was going to come from, and met Edgardo, got hooked up with Mike, and my life has changed dramatically over the last 6 months. I'm gainfully employed, and I have a house to live in, and me and Chippy enjoy our own privacy in our room. And I still paint. I paint every night. So I'm still producing paintings and selling paintings, and now I have the website. But I'm a prime example of where the money goes. The money that's donated changes people's lives, and it has changed mine completely.
And you're hearing right from this guy Tony, right? So like this is something that the churches should be doing, but they're not doing that. I promise you that. A lot of people like to give money to church and feel good about giving money to a charity organization. But I'm telling you, man, these churches, they got big buildings, they got electric bills, they got clerical staff, they got mortgages, they got rents, they got insurance bills, they got cars, they got mission trips they go on that are paid for by your donations. A lot of people don't realize that these little mission trips, they're all paid. The spiritual little retreats that the pastors like to go on every other month, that's all paid. After everything's paid, then they start thinking about giving some money to your stuff. But remember, they also have health benefits, they have retirement plans, they have housing allowances. A lot of this money, when you really look at it, it doesn't go to where you think it goes with some of these churches and quite frankly, some of these other nonprofit organizations that have all these buildings and overhead and expenses. We are a 100% volunteer-run organization that was started by myself and my wife. I personally donate $500 from every single real estate commission check that I get from my real estate business, whether it's a buyer or a seller that I close with. I give $500 to the donation because I want to be in control of my money that I'm giving, and I want to know what it's going to, and I know what it's going to. It's going to help people like Tony, and sometimes I'll just be driving around and I'll wind up running into some homeless people, and they'll need a sandwich. They're sitting outside of Wawa or Rural Farms or something like that, where 99% of people just ignore them and just roll their eyes and tell them go get a job or whatever, or get out of the way or move, you can't stay here. I actually talk to them and try to find out their story, buy them a sandwich. I'm not a big fan of giving money out, but give food or whatever they need, and a lot of them are just hungry, man, and they're just looking for somebody to give them a shot. And that's what we want to do as an organization. And how awesome would it be to actually be able to go up to one of these people and say, look, man, I got a place I can actually take you right now. If you want to grab your stuff, I can take you to the house and we'll get you started, and we'll waive your first month or 2 months of living there or whatever to get you on your feet, get you a job, and Tony's going to help you out and I'm going to help you out. And that's what we're trying to do. That's exactly what the goal of this is. And so we have set our goal at $200,000. We have raised over $10,000 so far. So we still have a ways to go, but we have some events we're going to be doing. We'll be posting some stuff about the events coming up, so y'all can come out and support us if you'd like to do that. Some family-friendly events as well, and some adult events as well, with some alcohol. Unfortunately, some people don't like to come out unless there's alcohol, so we don't condone drinking. I personally don't drink at all, neither does Tony, but we do understand that some people like to enjoy adult beverages every once in a while.
And isn't there a new link?
I have a link, a brand new app that I created. Well, I didn't create, I actually found it for nonprofit organizations called Zephy. So we have our own personal link that you can make a donation, no matter how small you want to make it. It could be $1, and it could be $10,000. It could be whatever you want it to be. It could be a one-time donation. There's a way to set up recurring donations where you can donate every other week or every month, or however you want to do that. And the best thing is that when you make your donation, instantly you get an email generated with a PDF letter that prints out for you, so you can write it off for your taxes. And you just print it right out, stick it in your income tax file for next year, and then write it right off for your taxes. So if you're looking for something, to do to reduce your tax liability, this is great too, because we're 100% tax approved organization from the IRS. So so thanks. So I'm going to have that link. I'm going to put that link in the Facebook post. I'm also going to put that link in the YouTube description to this video. So if you want to find that, all you got to do is click on the YouTube button, watch it on YouTube, go to the description, and there'll be a real short little link in there that you can click on if you want to find it in your heart to donate. Again, we are only taking private money. We're not taking money from federal governments, from state governments, from local governments. We're not doing that because we don't want them to have control over what we're going to do as an organization with all their rules and regulations. So that's who we are. That's what we are. That's what we do. And just thank you so much for coming out. If you were one of the ones that came out and supported us this past Thursday at our event at Looney's Pub. The next event we're probably going to do is probably going to be a while. It'll either be in end of summer in the fall or winter. So be on the lookout for a couple more events that we're going to be doing again to try to raise some more funds, and hopefully we'll get a good crowd like we've been getting at the last couple
Yeah,
of events.
and they're good times.
Yeah.
We really have fun at the events. Great food, great people, awesome conversation. So these events are really fun to attend. So when you get a chance, and of course, by all means, everything. We're so grateful for each and every donation and everybody that comes out to support us.
Yeah, thanks so much, and thank you for watching this video. I know it was a little lengthy. I always start with the goal of it being 5 to 6 minutes, but we can never, get it all out in 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah.
So sometimes you gotta take a little time to explain everything. So. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm an open book. If anybody would like to volunteer with the organization, let me know. But we are working on some pretty big stuff. We want to do like a winter formal kind of gala type thing. We also are going to work on a charity golf tournament. We're going to work on a couple things. And like I said, we're going to combine it with an elite agent mastermind group that I also started for real estate agents. And see what we wind up coming up with. So I think we're going to raise some good money, and
absolutely.
Hopefully then we'll be able to go to some of these banks and maybe they'll open their checkbooks and start giving us some money too. That'd be nice. Whenever I can find time in my free time that I don't have, right? So to go talk to them and fill out all their forms and paperwork. But again, thank you for watching this. Thank you so much, and thank you from both of us. Because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you and your support. So thanks again.
Amen.
Take care, and God bless.